Hello, Prof.
Yeah, what happened? And I'm at and about 2 minutes to share this funeral meeting which we have.
All right, let's make good use of those 2 minutes before you take off. So, give us a summary. I mean, you have been in the middle of this Ambazonian struggle for all the 9 years, and you are one Ambazonian that is very, very much trusted by Ambazonians. And you have added your voice to those of us who are saying no elections, no La République du Cameroon elections in Ambazonia. Can you take these 2 minutes to explain to the people of Ambazonia why you are against French Cameroon organizing elections in Ambazonia, please?
Okay, this is it. Let me summarize it by saying there are 4 reasons, I think, why the so-called presidential elections in French Cameroon are redundant, not important, insignificant, and of little consequence as far as Ambazonia is concerned. 1. The people of Ambazonia cannot be seen as approbating and reprobating in one and the same breath. If we did that, we would be making an ass of ourselves. We would become a laughing stock. We would be seen as a people who do not truly want decolonization, a people who do not want liberation, and a people who cannot think strategically about what they really want. That's the first reason.
Okay.
The second reason is that Ambazonian participation makes no difference in the election's outcome, which has already been predetermined by French Cameroon. In French Cameroon, it is not voting that matters. It is the counting of the votes and officially announcing the results. 3. The French Cameroon colonial occupier will eventually come to a negotiation table the moment the scales fall off its eyes. And this has always happened to all colonization, where France in Algeria, Ethiopia and Eritrea, Portugal in Portuguese colonies, or whether you're talking of Sudan and South Sudan, America and the Vietnamese, all eventually come to a negotiation table when the scales fall off from the eyes. And it will happen in the case of French Cameroon. The final reason, the fourth one which I see, is that the concept and practice of free, fair, and safe elections are a stranger to French Cameroon. People tend to forget that it is us, Ambazonians, who introduced in French Cameroon the very idea of free and fair elections, the very idea of multipartyism, the very idea of an electoral law, the very idea of an independent electoral commission. They took that, but they don't know, since they don't know the concept, they've not been able to use it, not been able to organize things according to plan. So French Cameroon has never, even during the time of French rule, been able to organize any free and fair election. It's not going to happen now. So for those several reasons, I don't think it's important for us to get involved in French Cameroon politics.
Wonderful. What do you think? What do you make of the argument I had Rebecca Enonchong here recently and Eric Chinje and a few others who who are of the opinion that Ambazonia has a chance. Ambazonia has an opportunity to help take out Bia and then negotiate with whoever wins. In this case, Isa Chiruma.
No, I don't think so. Like I said, you will not, Ambassador voting is not going to take out beer because, as I said, it is not the voting that matters. It's the counting on the vote and proclamation. French Cameroon will count the vote. Their Constitutional Commission will proclaim the result. Full stop. Ambazonia is irrelevant on that issue. Even the argument that if you give French Cameroon a chance is actually not here or there. Remember, people tend to forget the long history of heart of these people. We gave them a chance at Fumban. What did they do? They instead responded with cunning and duplicity. We gave them a chance on 1st October when we formed a two-state federation with them as a connection. What was their response? In 72, political betrayal, colonial annexation, and vandalization of the whole of our territory. Again, shortly after 1972, we gave them a chance when we legitimately sought fair and differential political, educational, security, and economic coexistence. But in 1984, they responded with a damning and demeaning insult of formal colonial annexation. Again, we give them a chance in 1990 when we insisted on there being introduced multipartyism and all the things which I just mentioned. What was their response in 1972? They responded with electoral fraud, murderous violence, stealing of the victory of one of our own. Again, we gave them a chance in 1996 when we legitimately called again for the return to a two-state federation, which we agreed on with them. They responded with the continuing charade of the so-called tripartite meeting, an increased level of terrorization of our people. Again, in 2016, recently, we gave them a chance when once more we legitimately cried out for respect of our cultural space, for political reform by way of return to a two-state federation, social reform by way of safeguarding our legal and educational systems, and economic reform by way of infrastructural development. What was their response? Was the ongoing genocide being perpetrated against our people. We gave them a chance again by accepting and being present at peace talks. In Canada, what was their response? They escaped and shamelessly began to tell lies and continue with their genocide, war crimes against humanity in our land. So these are people who are incorrigible, who for them don't see us as human beings, as beasts. So what chance are people talking about? Give them what chance? Giving them a chance, talking about giving them a chance would mean can only be one thing: advocating for submission to that country. And that means surrender to a fate far worse than the slaves of the Roman Empire.
What do you make, Prof, of the confessions of Issa Chiroma and the prescriptions he is giving should he become president of La République du Cameroon? He is talking about a referendum. I have also heard of national reconciliation and stuff, and I mean, this is what is being pushed out there by the likes of Eric Chinje, Rebecca Enonchong, and you see lots of Ambazonians falling for this. What do you make of Issa Chiroma's confession and the prescription he hoped to deliver should he win?
Issa Chiroma is blowing hot and cold at the same time. You know, he says one thing, then he retracts. And it's and this is how I'm so worried, because I do not pay attention to little things. What is Issa Chiroma talking about national reconciliation? It's another packaged way of talking about the one indivisible. That's what he's talking about. I heard him talk about, the resources would be centered in Yaoundé. It means the oil and other will be centered in Yaoundé.
Right.
You know? So these are people who, for his own convenience, thinks he can say things that at the moment appear appealing to a section of our people, while his true intent is hidden in his own mind. I don't believe Issa Chiroma will do the things he says. And he's talking about releasing of prisoners, referendum, and so on. He can't say he's going to organize a referendum because he knows very well if we were to do that, Apu will say no to cohabitation of French Cameroon. And so he blows now and talks about, oh, okay, I'll organize a referendum, but national reconciling what? No. We'll cross that bridge. We'll give them several opportunities to have national reconciliation, which they rejected. We're not going to be like the washerman donkey, being fooled over and over and over and over. We'll keep on falling for the same thing. No, I don't see that happening. I don't see. So, while he made statement in Yaoundé and Bamenda, as soon as he came back to French Cameroon, he started retracting what he was saying, making conditions here and there. It's going to be this. And then now, he refers to us now and says secessionists.
Yeah.
Imagine. And then his narrative of the history, of the historical development of our connection with them is very, very selective. He chooses those areas which concern, and he jumps from saying, oh, the British didn't give independence because they said we're economically not viable. Then from there, he jumps out to say, oh, the UN said we must achieve independence by joining them. It was not as straightforward as that. Look at Northern Cameroon. 1608 is very, very clear. He didn't even bother to read that resolution because the way the UN treated Northern Cameroon is not the same way the UN treated the Southern Cameroons. For the Northern Cameroon, it was a straightforward case of you being part of the northern region of Nigeria. It is stated there in that resolution. For our own case, there are a series of activities that need to take place, meetings and so on, agreement between the two sides that need to take place. And the agreement was very, very clear. We form a two-state federation. Chiruma has not been able to explain why would the so-called independent republic in 1961 all of a sudden become a federated state of East Cameroon. Why? They've not, neither him nor Kamto have been able to explain that. They gloss over it because it's very, very convenient for them. No. We cannot continue to fall for all the charade. For me, we've crossed the Rubicon. There is no going back to any form of connection with French Cameroon. The only form of connection will be in the context of the broader context of the continental whatever things, African Union or whatever. Beyond that, no. We've seen this for over 70 years. We know them. We know their mindset. We know they can say one thing to the next day. They change their mind, say another thing. So why do we continue to fall for this charade? I don't understand. For people like Rebecca, whom I respect, for people like Eric, whom I respect, and I thought they would see this thing deeper and deeper. And when Rebecca wrote her piece, I said, goodness, this is something. This is a lady who sees this. But I don't know when she retracted on the things she said. I don't know. But I thought she was being strategic when I read that piece she wrote. So, no. We cannot go back to any form of dealing with this. In any case, why would French Cameroon keep on insisting on colonizing us? Why? Why annex us? Did France give them independence on condition that they annex us and colonize us? No. So are they saying they are incapable of existing on their own as an independent state? Let them answer this question. Let's hear. But like I said, the scales would eventually fall off the ice and they'll come around. Every colonizing country has suffered that fate. There are France, for example. They kept on shouting, l'Algérie est française, l'Algérie est française. In other words, Algeria is part of France.
Yeah.
So for them, they saw the Algerian revolutionaries as secessionists, as terrorists. When the critical moment came, the scales fell off from the ice, and they had to pack off. The same thing had happened to Portugal, where for Portugal, the Portuguese colonies were part of Portugal, separated from the mother country by accident of geography. So the revolutionaries in all the Portuguese countries in Africa were secessionists and terrorists. When the crunch came, they realized it and they moved on.
Yeah.
Ethiopia, Imperial Ethiopia, we did the same thing what Ahijo did to us when they annexed Eritrea. We're calling them Eritreans as secessionists, as terrorists. When the moment came, they changed. So this is the historical lesson which people are forgetting and refusing to learn. We must chart our own way as ambassadors of Southern Cameroon and stop this thing behaving as if we need French Cameroon to exist. As if French Cameroon is the ultimate, the alpha and omega in our existence. No, we must stand up and challenge them. We always asking them, leave us alone. That's all we're asking. We're asking not a damn for nothing from them. Leave us alone. Is that too hard?